Shalom. Call halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahushai, Bahashim Rakak Wadash. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers that push the word in truth and in sincerity. I'm the brother Yashawan back with the World War III Daily Update. All right. Now, in order to understand what is about to be presented today, because I'm going to keep it short, you got to go back to the previous days, right? You go back to yesterday, you're going to get more information. You go back 2 days on the daily update, World War III Daily Update, there's an hour and a half video. You have to watch that in order to understand what is going on. World War III is about what God is doing. All right, God has a plan to gather all the armies of the earth because they are against God. All the armies of the earth and the rulers of those armies, right, are against God. All right. And what they plan to do is they plan to try to fight against God because they know that God is coming after them. All right. The more you see UFOs, right? The UFOs are the angels of God. All right, so that you understand. The angels are in those craft. They're flying in those craft. That's why they call them UFOs, because they don't want you to know the truth about who's in those vehicles and what they're here to do. All right. The real name of the so-called UFOs or UAPs, they're called the Chariots of Israel. All right. That's God's army. Okay. The angels are God's army. They have the best weapons and the best fighter jets, if you will. They're called the Chariots of Israel. They submerge, they go underwater, they disappear, they move from 1 to 4, okay? They can't be defeated, all right? And the armies of the earth, they know this, all right? They want to keep what's going on a secret, but they can't keep it a secret because it's all printed in the Holy Scriptures, in the Bible, all right? So this is Acts 4, all right? And what am I looking for? And 26, okay? The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together. Who are the kings of the earth? The Rothschilds, right? The DuPonts, the Gettys. Who are the rulers? The presidents, Vladimir Putin, right now Joe Biden, Angela Merkel, okay? These people. What does it say? And the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ. Okay? The more you see the chariots of Israel, what you call UFO or UAP, unidentified flying object, or unidentified aerial phenomenon, right? You're seeing more and more sightings. They have to try to explain it away. They can no longer call it a weather balloon, swamp gas, or whatever they've been lying about for going back hundreds of years now. Now the truth is being presented to everybody. Why? Because it's time for the showdown. All right? Now, what God is doing, he's distracting them, the kings of the earth, right now, because he knows that they're confederate against him. All right? Well, let's prove that real quick. All right, this is Psalm 83. See, because God has enemies. God has adversaries. Why do people hate God? Because God created them as his adversaries, all right? Keep Not thou silence, O God, hold not thy peace, and be not still, O God. For lo, thine enemies, oh, God has enemies? Yes, he does. Make a tumult, and they that hate thee have lifted up. These people are proud. They believe that they could go heads up with God and take God down. Okay? They hate God. They that hate thee have lifted up the head. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people. God has a chosen people, the nation of Israel. Okay? They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. Why are they hidden? Nobody knows that we're the children of Israel. They made that a deep, dark secret. They replaced us with people that aren't the chosen ones, that are in the land right now. Okay? They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. Then it names them off. Edomites, Ishmaelites, Moabites, Hagarenes, okay? Amalek. These are the people that are in Israel right now, claiming to be the Israelites, and they're not. All right? Philistines, Africans. Tyre, Africans. Amalek, Edomites, the so-called white men. Ammon, Japanese. Okay? Moab, Chinese. Ishmael, Arabs. Edom, the so-called white men. These are the people that hate God. They that hate thee, they hate God. They're the enemies of God. All right, now let's go back to Acts 4 and 27 or 26. The kings of the earth stood up, and the rulers were gathered together against the Lord and against his Christ. Here's what's going on. Okay? Now here's what God is going to do. Or here's what he's doing. He's gathering all of them together because they're fighting. All the nations are fighting over who's going to rule or run the new world order. All right? This is God. Joel 3 and 2. I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat. God is gathering all these armies, right? I'm going to show you that in a minute. And he's bringing them down into the Middle East, where this showdown is going to happen. And will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage, Israel. All right? Now, let's find out what all of this means. I will gather all nations and bring them down in the valley of Jehoshaphat. There will I put them on trial for what they did to my people Israel. New Living Translation. I will gather the armies, the what? World War III. I will gather the armies of the world into the valley, into the Middle East. There will I judge them for harming my people. Here's what's going on. All right, so let's look at some of this. Let's look at the headlines, all right? Explosion, this is one day ago. Explosion in Israeli regime. Okay, we saw that yesterday. Okay. Breaking news, Iran attacks U.S. base in what? The Valley of Jehoshaphat. World War III. All the troops, all the armies of the nations are being gathered. God is bringing them together so he can launch an ambush attack on them. All right? Powerful Israeli airstrike on weapons workshop in Iran. Oh, in Gaza, Salakia. All right? Israeli airstrike on weapons workshop in, this is called World War III. In the Middle East. Unknown drone or fighter hit an Iranian military base by air. What unknown drone? Okay. Navy scrambles to intercept Russian submarine. Royal Navy. Who's that? That's the UK. That's England. England's fighting against Russia. All right. Let's go to Deep Journalist. Deep Journalist channel. Breaking. Iranian Navy lands on U.S. coast. What? Big confession from Iran about nuclear sabotage. What's going on here? This is World War III. Breaking. Impact of heavy attack to U.S. can't stand against Russian attack. The United States against Russia? This is World War III. God has these nations fighting against each other, and they're going to be gathered into the Valley of Jehoshaphat down in the Middle East.
In addition, according to a new statement from Microsoft, if you're suffering from cataracts, diabetic retinopathy,
this is bullshit. Hold on. Here we go.
News. Tensions are rising these days, when relations between the USA and Russia are at their lowest point.
These are the kings of the earth. This guy, this guy, this guy. Breaking. Impact of heavy attack to... Okay, and what they're doing, this is an asymmetric war. Apparently, this is the Prime Minister of Switzerland. See the flag? He's in the middle. This is Russia. That's Vladimir. And who's this sad face clown? There's his flag. Okay? Now, cyber warfare. Cyber what? Warfare. World War III. Asymmetric war. It's not going to be conventional like it was in World War II. Listen.
President Biden always comes back empty-handed from his talks with Russian President Putin. After the large-scale attacks in the U.S. state of Florida,
attacks? World War III.
President Biden took action, albeit late, and had a phone call with Putin on Friday. I made it very clear to Putin that the United States expects, when a ransomware operation is coming from their soil even though it's not sponsored by the state, that we expect them to act, he said. However, there was no explanation from Russia. On the contrary, there were attempts to imply that the USA should let go of this business with its counter-propaganda movements. After Biden's meeting, Russia held talks with China that reminded and reinforced their cooperation and friendship in all fields.
Russia and China are allies. Everybody is being gathered or led into an ambush in the valley of Jehoshaphat. All right? Yahweh is the name of the Most High. All right? Shaphat means judgment. He's gathering them down there so that he can destroy them. All the armies. Once all of those armies are out of the way, what happens to the people? They can't be protected. They're about to bow down to the King of Kings. All right? And here's what's going on.
In addition, according to the news in the Russian media on the same day, a retired U.S. Army intelligence personnel made shocking confessions stating that the USA was not ready for war against Russia and was afraid of a possible war.
It says in the scriptures in the Bible that Russia's going to win the war. Okay? And then they'll be subdued by the King of Kings and Lord of Lords.
We can guess that President Biden knows this too. However, the presidents of the two great superpowers of China and Russia, which have different management styles, are also aware of the situation.
All right, good enough. I want to see that again. Okay, so I'm going to try to keep this short. We'll get Haggai real quick. This bullshit.
And
all right, let's get Haggai. Haggai 2 and 22. Here's what's going to happen. And I will overthrow the throne of kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the heathen, and I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses and their riders, right, shall come down every one by the sword of his brother. In that day, saith the Lord of hosts. Hosts means armies. Okay? The Lord of hosts. All right? Let's get a visual of it. All right? Hey, the chariots. All right? This is the dragon and his angels and his blue angels. Okay? All right, let's get out. Revelation 12 and 7. And there was a war in heaven. The word heaven means the sky. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon, Michael and his angels. And the dragon fought and his angels, and his blue angels in the sky. One of the levels of heaven. Let's prove it. Then war broke out in heaven, and there was a war in heaven, and there was a war in heaven. Then war broke out in heaven. There was a great battle in heaven. New Heart English Bible Version. There was a war in the sky. Michael and his angels made war on the serpent. The serpent and his angels made war. So as World War III is going on, in comes the clouds of heaven. All right? The chariots. Attributes of God. Psalm 104. Bless the Lord, O my soul. O Lord, my power, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty. Who covers thyself with light as with a garment, who stretchest out the heavens like a curtain, who led the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. This is the cloud. Jesus Christ is coming back in a cloud, or the one you ignorantly call Jesus Christ, whose name is Yahushua, is coming back in the clouds. Behold. Behold, this is the second coming right here. The second coming of Yahushua HaMashiach, the second coming of Jesus Christ. Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and shall wail. They're going to see these chariots in the sky, and they're going to shit on themselves, all right? So this is your third World War update, all right? See you tomorrow. Hope that the elect were edified. Shalom.